Thanks for joining us again as we kickstart the discussion segment on the show. Let's quickly intimate you with the latest statistics coming from INEC as regards the collection rate of the permanent voter cards. Of course, we spoke earlier also with the press secretary to INEC, Kayode Idowu, who says that as at the end of this weekend, the collection rate has increased to some 80%. But as at Friday last week, INEC says that 78.93% of registered voters have already gotten their PVCs. And of course, this was contained in a report released by the Commission in Abuja that was on Friday. The figure was based on all of the statistics across the country. Now, while it put the number of registered voters at 68,833,476, it adds that it had delivered 67,206,600 PVCs across the country. Okay, so we're still looking to some roughly 1 million PVCs yet to be delivered by INEC. Okay, that's the percentage showing exactly what INEC has distributed thus far. And if you go to the second slide, if you can, you also find out that there are other, you have a number of registered voters at 68,833,476. And out of that, of course, INEC believes that there seems to be much progress ongoing as regards the collection of PVCs across board. I'm joined now by DIPO OLAYOKUN, who is a public affairs analyst, joining us today on Call Digest. Thank you very much for finding time to check on us today.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning.
Indeed, if INEC is saying that as at Monday, we have 80% of PVC's collection, would you say that the postponement probably is indeed a blessing in disguise?
Yes, I like the way you put it, a blessing in disguise, because we are in Nigeria, and where we allow such things to happen. I don't think we should be patting ourselves on the back. That's something we had 4 years to prepare for. We are still in this injury time of, we have got 80%. But be that as it may, in Nigeria, anything goes. After this, the election will hold, results will be announced, everybody will go back to business. Nobody will look back to say, how did we trudge that rough path? And when we want to have another election in 2019, we will still pass through the same torturous journey. That's Nigeria for you. Nothing is going to change.
Are you being pessimistic that things are not going to change?
We have been in this country for a very long time. And we seem to be making the same mistake all over again, because nobody gets punished for any lapses or anybody that shirks its responsibility. Nobody. And that's why we'll continue to be in this kind of situation. I cannot explain a registration exercise that took place between 2010 and 2011. And we are in 2015 talking about PVC. We knew right from 1999 that elections will be holding every 4 years. That was consensus. It's not something that just came all of a sudden. And INEC knew as at 2011 when they started their registration, because I listened to the REC, that's the Resident Electoral Commissioner for Edo State, Barrister Mike Ikini, that when they came in, they looked at the rot they made on the ground and said there was the need for them to sanitize. Let us give it to them. INEC under Professor Atari Joga and the management team has really sanitized the system. And that's why it's a continuous process with this PVC of a thing, and then the idea that of the card reader. But even at that, I think what is worth doing is worth doing well. That's what the proverb says. Because I don't think since 1993, Nigeria has never been in this kind of uncertainty. You can imagine today is March 2nd. And Nigeria is talking about whether election will hold on March 20. Some of these things are funny. You cannot explain them. But this is Nigeria. until we go to the election. Nobody is so sure whether elections will hold. When the constitution is very clear, the duty of INEC is very clear. INEC is given the responsibility to hold elections. It's only in Nigeria that INEC will be waiting for the military to give them to go ahead to conduct election. That's Nigeria. We will continue to live with it until we get to where we can say we aren't taking it any longer.
Last week, some APC senators came out to talk about the possibility of asking the INEC chairman, Professor Atahiru Jega, to embark on a terminal leave, and they sounded so sure of what they were saying. But the PDP on the other side is asking, of course, you recall that Mr. President was clear during a presidential media chat that he doesn't have it in mind to sack Jega and all of that. But the PDP was also asking that, why is the APC so concerned about Jega not being sacked? Is there a kind of relationship existing already between the APC and the INEC force? What exactly would you say is the relevance of having a particular man at the helms of INEC affairs ahead the March 28 rescheduled election?
The president, in his last presidential media chat, said he would not sack Jega. But with benefit of hindsight, the immediate past governor of the central bank, now the emir of Kano, was removed from office via what the president calls suspension. And when people went to him and said, no, you can't do this. This guy has a fixed tenure. The constitution is very clear to how you can remove him. He said he didn't sack him, that he suspended him. You know, we have been in this country for a very long time to know the movements of how people move. If you are very conversant with what is happening in the media in the past 1.5 months, there have been a sustained campaign of calumny against the president, the chairman of INEC. Interestingly, from the friends of the president, from the members of his party, from his godfathers. They have been consistent in this thing. As a matter of fact, a former minister who is a chieftain of PDP in Lagos, very close to the president, said if he has his way, he will have sacked Jega. And let me tell you one thing, Nifemi. Once bitten, twice shy. Before Jega was appointed, there was a man called Professor Morisiwu that conducted the worst election in the history of mankind. This man was removed, asked to go on terminal leave, because before his tenure expired. So if some people are saying, we know what you guys can do, you can't blame them because they are taking a cue from what happened. Professor Morisiwu was removed. They asked him to go on terminal leave before the expiration of his tenure. And some of us said, no, this is not proper. But because of what Iwu did in 2007 with that election, that even foreign observers came and said this election is even worse than the election they conducted in Somalia, where they were having war. People just kept quiet. Some of us were shouting that, no, we are setting a bad precedence. If you look at the constitution very clearly, the president has no power to sack INEC chairman. Go to section 153, where they listed, they call them certain federal bodies, Code of Conduct, Federal Civil Service Commission, Judicial Commission, and INEC is there. Then if you go further to section 156, subsection 2, it says that if anybody is appointed from the civil service to go into any of these certain bodies, that person must resign his appointment. And if you are very competent with the civil service law, if you are moving from one department of the civil service to the other, you either go on secondment or transfer of service. So by that, by section 153, 56, subsection 2, it is very clear that INEC job is distinct from the public service. Okay. No, wait now. You go further. You go to section 169, where how you can remove the INEC chairman is clearly stated. There must be an address supported by two-thirds majority of the senators, based on what we call maybe if the guy cannot discharge his duty effectively. The president has no power to dismiss or remove Jega. If you go to the 5th schedule of the Constitution, go to part 2. They gave a list of civil servants. They even listed the president, the vice president. They never mentioned Jega, INEC chairman. As a matter of fact, they mentioned the Code of Conduct Bureau, which is also one of the certain federal bodies listed along with INEC. They mentioned them as civil servants. They never mentioned INEC chairman. Again, go to section 173. If you're talking about civil servant, there's something they call pension and retirement and gratuity. The INEC chairman doesn't go on retirement. So terminal leave is only 3 months before your retirement. The INEC chairman is not retiring. After his 5 years, he leaves office. If they are satisfied with his job, they renew his contract. He can be there for only 2 terms. The man that has been conducting election in Ghana has been there for more than 15 years. So there's a need for us to get this thing right. The president has no power to remove or ask the guy to go on terminal leave. We are following constitution. It's very clear.
Let's take some few minutes to find out exactly what the APC senators really said about this issue and what they think would be the model operandi for those who are planning to remove the INEC chairman.
We have received information from very, very informed source, a very, very credible source, that next week, the chairman of the INEC, National Independent Electoral Commission, will be given a letter, will be served a letter by the Office of the Head of Civil Service, directing him to proceed on terminal leave. Oppose the removal because it is criminal, it is illegal, it is unconstitutional. We oppose this removal through the back door because government itself knows if Jiga goes wrong, you have to remove him by using the Senate to take him out. But you know you require 2/3, and that is why they are running away. If you postpone elections, suddenly you say Jaga should go, then Nigerians should be deceived. Nigerians would have been deceived into taking it that elections were extended because there were no sufficient PVCs to enable each and everybody to vote.
The constitution is very clear. Jaga is not a civil servant. Jaga is a political appointee, appointed in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. How to appoint him is clearly stated in the Constitution. The President has to nominate a name of the chairman to the Senate, and Senate confirms. The removal will also be the same way. If the President feels otherwise, that Jaga should not be the one to do this election, the President should give us the reasons why and bring it to Senate, and Senate will have to approve it by 2/3 majority.
You also had agreed earlier in your opening remarks on this show that INEC hasn't been so fantastic, especially they had about 4 years to have prepared for the 2015 election. What is wrong if somebody had failed in his responsibility of being relieved of his duties, so to speak?
You see, the difference between the democratic form of government and any other forms of government is adherent to the rule of law. There's a constitution that is guiding the operations of government and members of the public in Nigeria. And if this is what the constitution says, for example, the constitution says ministers, special advisors, head of service, secretary to the government hold that position at the pleasure of the president. That means he can sack them anytime he desires. But as to some offices, and under which INEC chairman falls, the constitution has stated how you can remove him. I think those who drafted the constitution were taking a cue from our experience in the past. That if you subject the INEC chairman to the whims and caprices of the man at the head of affairs, then you are not going to have that independence that we are talking about INEC. And that's why it is clearly stated how you can remove the chairman of INEC. Go to the Senate. Tell them the reasons. This man bungled the issue of PVC distribution. Okay, based on this, senators, I want him removed. And if he's going to lobby, if he succeeds in lobbying the senators, so that he can get 2/3 of the senators to support him, all well and good. That is the issue. Nobody is talking about Jaga. Whether we like it or not, a day will come when Jaga will leave office.
Just a minute, sir. We're joined now on telephone by spokesperson for the Transformation Ambassador of Nigeria, Dr. Udanta Udanta. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us on Call Digest.
presidential campaign organization now.
Oh, I see that things have changed now. Okay, can you please go over that? Can you go over that designation again so that it can be
Assistant Director Publicity.
okay?
Presidential campaign organization.
Okay, presidential campaign organization. Thank you very much for joining us on Call Digest this morning. Sometimes last week, some APC senators came out to say that there are plans by the presidency to sack the INEC chairman ahead the rescheduled election for March and April. What are your reactions to these insinuations?
Well, I didn't get any part of your question, but I just got March and April and APC senators. There's been allegation about what?
Allegations of sacking the INEC the INEC chairman, Professor Atahiru Jega.
Did they present any evidence before the Senate? He was in the hallowed chambers of the Senate. Did they adduce any reason why it's not true? Were you availed as court TV with any single iota, tissue of information, or just allegations and so on?
They said there are plans to serve him a terminal leave.
Did anybody with somebody in government or cite a memo or some sort of paper trail, some documentation to this effect? Or the senators just open their mouth and say there's allegation and so on? Is that what the country has fallen to? Is that the level of intellectual decay, of intolerance? But not of just the senators, maybe the media. Did you interrogate that particular allegation before posing the question to me?
Of course, they have what they call the freedom of information, not to disclose their source. The bottom line...
Intervention is sources information.
I'm afraid I'll have to call you back, Doctor. Poor connection there with the Assistant Director, Publicity Secretary, I believe, of the PDP Presidential Campaign Organization, Dr. Udenta. We're hopeful that we'll be able to get him clearer on the telephone this morning. But the point he was able to make was that all of these allegations are baseless, so to speak. Would you also agree with that the APC senators really could not identify their source and the reason why they came up with such?
And if I mean, whether the allegations or insinuation, whatever you call them, are baseless, time will tell. But you see, one thing that makes human beings to be above any other creation is ability to learn from history. When the issue of elections will be postponed started, people said, oh, they have come again. Who is going to postpone elections? Eventually, that one has become history. When the issue of General Mohamed Buhari was going to address the Chatham House people, and APC said they had it on good authority, that some people close to the president have hired some people in London to go and protest. People said they have come again. It has become history. I think it is better to err on the side of caution. At the same time, there's need for you to prepare, because when you look at the antecedents of this government, I think there's a need for us, just like the Boy Scout, Post Scout people will say, be prepared at all times. But we are only just telling them, because I don't know why we are hammering on these APC people. All prominent Nigerians have come out to say that if you look at the movements by people close to the government, you will not be surprised. Because the campaign started about 2 months ago, when some people called themselves the South leaders, they addressed a press conference. That one was followed by a group in Lagos, where we have Nkaud Makin and a host of others, saying the same thing about Adayu Tega. And then you have listened consistently to the interviews by the president's godfather, Chief Edwin Clark. You should be able to know the direction the government is following. But Nigeria should not be taken in when the president said, I'm not going to sack Jega, because it can be anything. And I want to still refer to the example of the former CBN governor, when the president was confronted, when he asked the guy to go on suspension, that no, you have no right, you have no power to sack. He said, I didn't sack. I only asked him to go on suspension. You need to put two and two together, and then you can arrive at your conclusion. But when people are talking, it's just to let them know that these things they were doing, because there's a need for us to know that there's going to be a tomorrow that will be without these people. Some people were there yesterday. We know how we're talking about them today. But this idea, oh, let them go to court, because they know that the wheel of justice in Nigeria grinds slowly. At a point, you know that when Lamido Sanusi, the governor of Central Bank, went to court, when the matter was become problematic, he withdrew. That is Nigeria. Because nobody will have the time to pursue the matter. Let us assume that they asked the guy to go on terminal leave. The best you can do is to go to court. How long will it take the matter to be tried out in the court? By that time, the election will have come and gone. Maybe in the next 10 years, they will still be going from Supreme Court to Appeal Court and stuff like that. But there is something they call history that will judge our conduct today. I think that is the most important thing.
Let's open the phone lines very quickly so we can get opinions from viewers on the show this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Please turn down the volume of your TV set.
Yeah, I've done that now. I'm calling from Benue State.
What's your name, please?
My name is John.
John from Benue. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes. Now, what is really happening in Nigeria? I'm so confused. Whether it is APC is ruling or it is PDP that is ruling. You know, from body language of PDP, they are not sincere with this coming election. They shift this election the other time, say that the security intelligence is not around the security of people. And now they say PVC. From PVC, they say Jega. From Jega now we enter another thing. See, this thing they are doing, I think it plays a lot of risk to our democracy. And it is a disgrace to see a big country like Nigeria that a lot of Africa have confidence on to emulate. And they cannot conduct elections. And they will be talking this, try to do from this, try to enter this. It's unfortunate. Nigeria has to change their mind. Power is given by God. It is God that gives power and it is God that takes power. So if they vote Jonathan 2011 massively, you should also remember that if he didn't do well, they also vote another person massively. Nigeria are not fools. They know where they are going. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John, for your contribution from Benue. Of course, in addition to the insinuations of having to terminate the appointment of Professor Jega, the APC also came out with another allegation of a possibility of postponing elections yet again. We'll take another break now and we'll be back with more on Cold Digest. Don't go away.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on Core TV News.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then news. Core TV News, our 24-hour news station.
It's another beautiful and exciting moment.
Welcome to Political Arena,
the most detailed and incisive political show.
You will see all sorts of politicians, even those who cannot manage their homes. We tell you to let them manage your lives. Look well. Shine your eyes.
So stomach infrastructure is a way of life. Even if I cannot do anything, and I continue to help your stomach so that your life will keep on going. Stomach infrastructure is a way of life for me.
I should ask you, what is going right in this country? Is it education? Is it security? Infrastructure? Is it healthcare? What is going right? Absolutely nothing.
We mean to win Lagos. PDP is going to win Lagos in 2015.
INEC has colluded with the presidency, the opposing party, to rig this election from the data to the end.
The 2015 general elections must be the best.
The good, bad, ugly, and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on Core TV News.